She likes, like my daughter, just picks me up. That's what sons don't do. Makes me feel good.
There you go.
How are you feeling about it? Third episode.
Yeah, we got a hat trick.
You guys a hat trick.
Did you think we'd get this far? Was it always part of the plan?
I didn't think we'd get to here, let alone 3.
Well, listen, you guys have done amazingly and we're very proud of you. We're going to go straight into it. We are live on TikTok. If you want to jump onto TikTok, look for Radio Plays It In. You'll see our coaches John Plumtree and Grant Bashford are here. Bashy, why are you not in your school clothes today?
Hey, half term. Boys are leaving Kearsney today and heading home. So for me, I've got a little bit of a break this afternoon and then back up to Kearsney on Tuesday.
So you're in your plain clothes?
I'm in my plain clothes, yeah.
Are you two going to have a little play date
straight
after
to
this?
George.
Oh, really? Straight to the George?
Or Steak and Ale.
Excellent.
What do you
If
think
you want
of
to pull
John's
in-
outfit today, Kerry?
I think it's outstanding. I was just saying, if you happen to be on TikTok right now, coach's arms are pumped. Looking good, coach.
I wish you could see his big toe.
Stop it.
He's got the biggest big toe you've
Wait.
ever
Not
seen.
nice.
I
Have a
can't-
look.
Wait, hold on.
It's nice. Hey, I was born
There's
like
nothing
this.
wrong with those big toes,
Thank
coach.
you, Kerry.
Nothing wrong with those big toes.
Okay, well, just opened up a can of worms here, Bish.
Yeah, Bash, careful here because you know he knows you very well.
I know.
For those of you who have never been to the show before, TMO, the man's observations with John Plumtree and Grant Bashford. We're going to kick it off straight away with the guys discussing the one thing that everyone who loves rugby in KZN and South Africa has been waiting for, and that is the schools rugby. So, gents, over to you. Schools rugby, what's been happening and what are your observations and opinions at the moment?
Well, I think if we start with the weekend's results, I mean, there were some really big games going on. Northwood had their Old Boys Day, and there was probably between 10 and 15,000 in Durban North against College on Saturday. I'm an Old Boy of Northwood, and I predicted them to win, if you remember correctly.
And that didn't happen.
And it didn't happen, yeah.
I was about to say, is this an I told you so moment? No.
Yes, but it's actually quite.
So when you gamble, do you gamble out of loyalty, not out of what you...
No, I really thought Northwood would win. You know, they've had a really good
You didn't just
season.
say that because you went there.
No,
Okay.
not at all.
How much did they come second by?
The final score was 24-27, so it was a close game, but unfortunately Northwood started slowly and gave College a head start. And quite often on those Old Boys days, you know, there's such a hype and you just wonder how the players are going to cope with the intensity and the pressure. And it looks like it might have got to them a little bit, but they did really well to come back into the game at the end. And I believe it could have gone either way in the last minute. We were playing ourselves, so I didn't get to see the game on Saturday, but apparently a really good spectacle for everyone to see.
Do you have, Coach, sorry, do you have any, like a favorite in the school rugby space?
I went up to Kearsney and watched the game up there with Bashy. Really enjoyed that game against DHS. I'm actually addicted to schools rugby now after that. I'm going to the schools rugby every Saturday to watch
It's
for
pure,
the rest
isn't
of the
it?
season.
It's a really
And,
pure form of the game.
Because what a vibe, you know? Like what a vibe. I mean, there was more spectators watching the Maritzburg Northwood game than at the Sharks game. So, I mean, that just shows you just the interest, isn't it? You know, and the old boys are great, aren't they, representing their schools way into the future. And so, so now I'm going to... what did you think about your game, Bashy?
Yeah, look, it was DHS have been traditional foes of Kearsney for a long time, and they're coming off years of really doing well, but I really thought we could win on the weekend. Unfortunately, we had a slow start. We gifted them a try in the first minute with a long pass, and we're 4 minutes going into halftime. We were leading 10-7, and we got a yellow card, and in the time we had that yellow, we leaked 3 tries to be 31-10 down, and fought ourselves back into the game, finally going down 36-24, but really just a game of missed opportunities and DHS capitalising on our 14-man time. So, a little bit frustrating, but the boys never gave up and fought. What did you think?
The 2 tries before half time killed you, didn't it? You know, mate, it certainly put you on the back foot. And then I think they scored again early after the second half, and that just really, from then on you're playing catch-up rugby.
That's right.
And I thought, fairness, 10 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go, I think they got a yellow, and then you scored 2 tries, came back, and then you could have scored another one to close it right up. Yeah, so in fairness to the boys, they they didn't. They kept their heads together and they kept fighting, didn't they? They didn't give up.
No, they'll never give up. You spoke about schoolboy rugby, just the pride in the jersey in these schools, and playing for more than themselves, their old boys, and it's a pure form of the game. And that's
again, a good vibe up there too. Like I enjoyed the vibe.
Yeah. So we've got our old boys game in 2 weeks' time against Maritzburg College as well. So you come up to that one, you'll see the school really pumping and full.
Yeah, nice.
The other old boys game on the weekend was up in Maritzburg, St. Charles against Glenwood. And both sides have been struggling a bit this year, but and played out to a 26-all draw. So probably a good result for both sides. But yeah, difficult day for a bit difficult year for both sides. They've been struggling along, but 26-all draw on that front there. We spoke last week about a few of our sides travelling. So Westville hosted Kess. Kess travelled down to the Westville area, and Westville got their mojo back and won 40 points to 0. Really good side this year, Westville, but they have sort of fallen off the pace a little bit in the last few weeks, but I'm sure Dusty Noble and his coaching crew would have been really happy with the result on the weekend. Hilton, the form team in Natal at the moment, they travelled up to Pretoria to take on my old friend Paul Anthony's team up in Pretoria, and Hilton are unbeaten and probably too strong at the moment for Pretoria boys, and they managed to win 44-7. So I know Brad McLeod would have been chuffed with that. And Michael House also travelled. They were up in Joburg against St. John's, and backed up. Well, last week we managed to knock Michael House over, and they went up to Joburg and knocked over St. John's 34-14. So that was the weekend results of the schools. And being a half term this week for the private schools, there's not many games on the go. Northwood have Jeppe coming to Durban. Glenwood are at home to Westville.
Northwood Jeppe this week.
Northwood Jeppe this week, yeah.
At Northwood.
In Durban at Northwood, yeah.
Okay,
and
cool.
Glenwood Westville at Glenwood. And then Clifton hosts St. David's from Joburg. So those are the three fixtures.
Northwood game then.
Yeah, it'll be a really good afternoon. You know,
Yeah.
Jeppe Northwood clash has been going on for as long as when I was at school. We used to play Jeppe and Kess. So there's been a traditional fixture over many, many years, and it always seems to be a good game. You know, it's never one-sided, so I'm really looking forward to that game on the weekend. We played Northwood the following week, so it's also a good game for me to go and watch and keep my eye on things and see how
so
they
we'll
go.
be there. We'll be there. So what school side do you think at the moment is probably the form team? Is it Hilton?
Yeah, well, Hilton are unbeaten. You know, they started the season playing Westville away, and Westville were unbeaten side last year, the number one team in Natal. So that was a massive clash, and Hilton managed to win 39-35. Their second game was against DHS, and there was a flu epidemic. So that was really unfortunate, because I think that would have been a real test for Hilton. DHS are a top side. They then went up to the St. John's Festival, where they played against Nelspruit and a touring team from Australia, Nudgee. Now, Nudgee are traditionally an unbelievable rugby school. Some of the greats of Australian rugby, guys you might remember, Matt Gittow, James O'Connor, and more recently, Harry Wilson, old boys of the school. Their first game on that St. John's tour, they beat Uffies, which set the bar for them. Everyone sort of thought, geez, this team's going to be tough to beat there. And Hilton played them in round 2 and beat them 17-12. So Hilton have a proper team this year. No, they've done well. They've then played Bishops. They're obviously their big game every year is their traditional rivals, Michael House, and they managed to win that in the last second with the kick 23-21. They dominated Glenwood at the Sharks Festival or Sharks Day 2 weeks ago, 48-7. And obviously, like we've already mentioned, that game up to Pretoria on the weekend was 44-7.
Yeah, I bumped into Brad at the gym, and we were smashing out some guns.
Yeah.
And yeah, he said they have won a lot of close ones this year. And last year they had lost a few close ones. So.
And there's been so many close ones. You know, this year, if you look at the Northwood fixture, if you look at ours on the weekend, a draw for St. Giles and Glenwood. And then, so lots of the quality and the closeness of the games this year have really been tight. And obviously, on any given day, anything can happen.
Cool. So if you're around this weekend, we'll be at Northwood. So come and you're not allowed to drink there. So come and have a coffee with me and Bash.
Beautiful.
I have to also just say, guys, I'm on the TikTok. On the TikTok, I sound like I'm 90. But the talk at the moment is less rugby and more about coaches' guns. And then you just mentioned your guns.
Did they?
Yeah, for real. People are literally talking. nice guns, coach. You're always doing like so
please don't give us any motive to get a bigger head. It's
on
bad
TikTok
enough
right
already.
now. Listen, Bash, you need to come in a top
No.
without sleeves, please, next
Okay,
week.
next
Yeah, he
week I'm going to
does.
show
Yes.
my
That
guns.
That would be great.
Because for those of you who aren't on our TikTok right now, Coach John Plumtree is currently sitting in a very nice, like, what do you call that, a dark grey? Is that a deep grey? It's not quite black, is it? But it's a vest, and his arms are out, and apparently he's been working hard on them.
That's all he does. He's retired now. He just goes to the gym all day.
So the guns are out, and they're ready, and they're loving it online. So what
Are
we're going
they?
to do... Yeah,
Okay,
they're
well, I'm
loving
going to
it.
make it a regular then.
I also think so. So while
Okay.
Coach is going to do some, he's going to start his OnlyFans currently.
I hope all the grandmothers out there appreciate it.
I'm telling you, they're loving it for us, and they're not even the grannies. They're the young ones, Coach. Yeah. You guys chose the music today. Who chose Deacon Blue Dignity?
That's me.
Was that your choice? Do you have anything about the song that you love? Why did you choose it?
You know what? I've loved Deacon Blue since the first time I heard them, and they had I think they only had one album or two albums, and year before last, it's the first time they've ever come to South Africa, and Wendy and my wife and myself went down to Cape Town to watch them, and it was a phenomenal show. So Deacon Blue, I'm an absolute fan of theirs.
I'm having a look here. Did you know that Ricky Ross, who's the lead singer, apparently wrote the song while on holiday in Greece?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it came out in March 1987.
Kerry's always educating us. in
Yeah.
some
I mean,
way.
that's why we're
That's
here
your
for,
job,
guys.
Kerry.
As you teach me about sports, I teach you about this. It's radio plays it in, the man's observations, Deacon Blue Dignity, and then coming up, the boys are speaking URC. John Gumtree! Oh my god, that's genius. That was from Mario. He's just written John Gumtree. This is it.
That's what we did.
You are going to be impossible.
This is
today
amazing.
And tomorrow.
This is what we want.
Now, Terry, we need to
So I
get
have
a...
to tell the team all the guns. Everyone's shooting John's guns.
I thought we were watching.
Yeah, who's in John Gumtree? That is so...
Go and get a shirt. Go and get me a shirt quickly.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
Like, put a camera on that big toe. Have a look at this big toe now.
That's a normal ass toe.
No, it's
though.
not.
I feel like
Must-
that's a normal toe.
No, Kerry.
Oh, wait. TikTok, you coming with us?
Where we going?
We're going to see your toe.
Yeah, put his toe.
No, that one's broken.
That's okay. That's a normal toe.
No, it's not. You take it out the shoe. You'll see what I mean. It heads this way like that.
It's Coach Bash's choice today. Deacon Blue with Dignity. This is radio. Plays it in. John has a new name now. It's John Gumtree. Thanks so much, Mario, on TikTok.
I'm not going to show my guns now.
You have to. You're not allowed to wear any shirts from now
That's
on.
embarrassing.
No.
It is, this is TMO with John Plumtree and Grant Bashford on Radio Plays It In. It happens every single Thursday from 12 until 1. Now the gents are taking us straight into the world of URC. We want your observations, your opinions. What is happening in the URC, boys?
Well, last round, last weekend. So what that looked like was Ulster 22, Glasgow 26. So a disappointing result for Ulster. They really needed to get up in that one. Cardiff 22, Stormers 16. And I do think I picked that one. Didn't I, Bash?
How did your horse racing go yesterday, John?
No, not great, but we're talking about the Cardiff Stormers game,
okay.
Bash.
Oh.
And I picked that.
So that was a real disappointment for me, the Stormers. I thought with playing for a home semi-final, they would really get up for that Cardiff game. For Cardiff to walk away with 5 points really surprised me. And it only was in the last minute when the Stormers got that kick to get their 1 point.
Yeah,
you
they
know,
were
so,
lucky to get that. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the logs now, they've made things difficult for themselves going forward in the competition after the quarterfinals.
We'll have a look at that just now. But I mean, Cardiff have won 9 out of 10 home games. And that's why I was pretty confident that they'll get up against the Stormers. They're really hard to beat at home. And the only side they've lost to at home is Scarlets, who finished underneath them.
And that's your son's team, and he had an outstanding game on the weekend. Man of the match, scoring a try that you don't see often, like a
Wait, who?
loose Tame Plumtree.
Did he really?
Man of the match, outstanding
Congratulations,
performance.
Coach.
he looks
That's
like me,
amazing.
but he's got his mother's skills.
Well, I mean, that's
No, he's
amazing.
much more handsome than John.
Okay, even better.
Much more.
Excellent.
Okay.
We're going to bring him out for a visit sometime.
Well, we could do, yeah.
mean-
He'll be out here with Wales when they play the Springboks in July. August, I think.
Yep.
Leinster got up against Ospreys, 68-14. That's a bit of a blowout because Ospreys haven't been going too bad. So I was a little bit surprised around that scoreline, but just shows you the type of red hot form that Leinster are going to be going into this big final, which we'll talk about a little bit later, the Champions Final. Where's that game being played?
It's such a neutral venue in Spain, in Bilbao,
yeah.
So that's quite good that I hear it's a really hot place to play, and the weather's always good, so it should make for an interesting playoff.
So Bulls 45, Benetton 19, which was probably predicted. Munster 24, Lions 17. So we all wanted to back the Lions, didn't we? But I thought that they'd probably struggle against Munster at home.
Difficult place to go and play, John. In Munster, you've been there a few times.
Mm-hmm. Yep, no, tough place to play, but great to see the Lions qualifying anyway.
Sorry, just I'm going to jump in here. What makes it tough when you say it's tough to play? What makes a place tough to play?
They get good home ground support. The stadium there in Limerick. It seems Limerick.
Yeah.
Is packed out.
It's hostile as well, Kerry.
Yeah,
they make it difficult for you as a foreigner coming into their stadiums.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, no, it's a niggly place to get a win.
So when you're saying it's hard, it's not like the actual stadium is hard, it's the atmosphere, the energy makes it tough.
Oh, their players lift as well because they're playing at home. Any quality team should be hard to beat at home in the URC. And in any competition, whether it's the Premiership or the Top 14 or Super Rugby, the teams that can dominate their home games generally get to where they want to go in terms of playoffs, don't they? If you don't lose at home and you pick up a couple of wins away, you can get pretty much to where you want to go.
And I know it was disappointing for the Lions, but watching that game, the highlights of that game, they were in that game for a long time at Plum. They've played really well, the Lions, and managing to pick up one bonus point as well away from home was pretty much, I thought they did really well.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk a bit more about them and what's coming up for them, but in Edinburgh, 5, Connacht 26, so you pick Connacht, that's one of your teams, you like?
Yeah, I really enjoy the way Connacht are playing, and they're going to be, I picked them to get 5 points on the weekend, and they did, but they finished 8th, so they've got a tough encounter coming up, which I know we're going to talk about just now as well.
Yeah, so Ulster missed out on the top 8, but the nice thing for Ulster, they've got a Challenge Cup final this weekend against Montpellier. So if they win that game, they can still qualify. So that's a bit of a lifeline. That's a trophy that the Sharks won a couple of years ago to get into the top 8. That'll be a tough game though. Montpellier are a good side. But I've got a sneaky feeling Ulster might win this. They haven't been playing too bad.
Yeah, they would have been really disappointed to drop out of that, So I had Cardiff falling out, but that 5 points against the Stormers turned that around, and Connacht getting 5 just changed everything.
And of course, the Lions would have woken up on Saturday morning knowing that they've already qualified. That must have been nice.
Yeah.
So, good on them again. So Connacht are in top 8.
That's right.
So that leaves. So we'll look at the URC quarter final. That's not this weekend, the following weekend, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So this weekend we've only got Champions Cup and Challenge Cup finals, and we've got Super Rugby to watch, and Schools Rugby.
Yeah. Coaches, I've got 2 messages that have come through on our WhatsApp line, 072 330 3337. You can either answer or both answer. The one asks, coaches, what does a player actually do the week before a knockout game that's different to a regular season week? Does preparation really change that much?
Well, I don't think you change anything of your preparation that makes you successful. So, the intensity of, if it's a final or any type of final, the intensity of the week emotionally goes up, doesn't it?
Okay.
All of a sudden, the marketing team want a little bit more from the players, and there's other little distractions that can pop up that they have to manage. I think that's the big thing.
You find you've got mates that you never knew you had.
Want
tickets for the game, so there's always those kind of things that go on as well.
Yeah, but no, I think generally smart coaches keep things pretty much the same. You'd be nuts to all of a sudden have a longer training or train more than once a day or whatever.
Don't fix what's not broken.
Yeah, no, well you can't. You're not going to get any better in 5 days than you've already had. And so I'd say it's more around just keeping the players calm, making sure that emotionally they don't play that final during the week. I mean, this is what Ian McIntosh taught us back in the day when we were successful through the 90s. You know, just he was a master at just keeping everyone calm and everyone, you know, waiting patiently for the game, because the game will come along. It's not going to come along any quicker, you know. So
it's amazing how often Mac's name comes up when people. We had our Crusaders team of the 90s on the weekend, and Mac's sons Craig and Evan were part of that group. And he's honestly like such an icon to all of us, you know, through the 90s. He's like a father figure to Plum and lots of the guys that were there on Saturday. And his name just never doesn't stop coming up, old Mac.
Oh yeah, it's a father figure. Right? I was petrified of him at times. Man,
that's real love.
I think you're also a bit to blame, you and Dick Muir, for his death. You know, what you put him through over that time. You know, you've got to accept some responsibility for shortening his life.
You look after his sons now forever.
I think we extended his life.
And then we've got another question from Simon. Simon just asking, coaches, we keep hearing about the next generation of the Springboks. Is there a young player in the URC campaign this year that has genuinely surprised you?
I think it'd be more than one. There's probably one in every club.
Well, I think if you just talk about the Sharks, I mean, the CA out of school in the last 3 weeks has been phenomenal. You know, I see Jake's already identified, not Jake, Rassie's already identified that and pulled him into the bit wider training group.
Sure.
You know, and Sasha seems like an old head, but he's fairly new to the environment. So, there's just so much talent in this country, and being involved in schools now, I mean, every weekend you're seeing potential talent that can definitely kick on and make it in professional rugby.
But we know talent's not everything.
Exactly.
We've already spoken about that, and we'll probably talk about that more one day too. So look, URC quarterfinal, top 8, 2 weeks' time, Glasgow, Connacht, Bashy. So that's your team playing up in Glasgow.
Look, it would be a brave man to think that Connacht would win that, you know, but it's a niggly game for Glasgow. You know, Connacht are tough. You know, they come out of Galway, and it's a really tough group that's going to go up to Glasgow and challenge. But I'd say, like, we've seen how difficult it is to travel in this tournament and play away from home in playoffs. The stats are all there, you know. So I would like to see Connacht making an upset, but I think it's going to be a bridge too far for them.
Yeah, Glasgow have got some real big international players, haven't they, playing for them, you know. So, you know, 12, 13 Scottish internationals. Connacht don't have the luxury of that. Glasgow are outstanding attacking side. They will attack from pretty much anywhere through the park, around the park, and Connacht's defence going to have to be outstanding. And they both play on 5G pitches, which is good for both teams. So it's going to be it could be an upset. It could be an upset, but like I say, if you wanted to.
It's definitely what Franco will look at and go, well, I know we're playing the side 8th on the log, but it's not a guaranteed game, you know, and that's the tightness of this tournament. You know, on any given day, anything can happen. Yeah.
And Leinster versus the Lions. So the big thing there is that Leinster will be coming off a final, won't they?
That's right. That's going to be really interesting to see how they handle that. If they win, you know, how they get over that win quickly to face up.
Well, if they win, they're going to be drunk for 3 days.
That's
probably.
Right. So that's going to be difficult to face up.
So if they lose, they'll probably also be drunk for 2 or 3 days.
I'm not sure. I think that'll be their chance to just jump back straight on the wagon and try and win the next tournament.
Yeah.
You know?
Look, I mean, obviously, if they win straight away, they'll celebrate. You have to, but their mindset can shift back and go, okay, why don't we look at doing the double? You know.
That's right.
And I'm not sure. I'm sure that's they're all professional rugby players, and that opportunity will be there for them. And so it'll be interesting to see. What about the Lions, though?
I think that's the hope that they'll be carrying with them. You know, going there saying, well, their focus is clearly this week on the final. You know, and maybe regardless of what happens, they might be a half a yard off the pace, because whatever way you look at it, those finals do eat a lot of energy in the group. Neither of the final teams have been announced yet. I looked before I came in to see what teams have been selected, so not out yet, but they do have depth of squad, Leinster as well, which is probably why they've been so successful. But I think that's the hope the Lions are hanging on to, because it's a really difficult. They've been overseas for 3 weeks and they've just come back for a week, and now they've got to get back on the plane and travel back to play Leinster, which is not going to be easy.
No, and I guess the nice thing about it, they've got this week off, so they can pour a lot into that preparation, and then take a little bit of a breather over the weekend, and then jump on an aeroplane. And they'll be fresh when they get across there, that's for sure. But I think for the Lions, they've got to hit Leinster hard and early and get up, get some points on the scoreboard, get couple of early tries and a penalty, 16, 17 nil ups, rattle their cage real early. It's no use being conservative up there and not going for it, because if Leinster get ahead and their confidence gets up, they're going to be pretty tough to beat, and we know how, like I say, their depth is good.
And the Lions' attack has been awesome, so they can attack, but they're up against Jacques Nienaber's rush defence, so that's just going to be an interesting contest all in itself.
Stormers versus Cardiff. Okay, so...
Replay.
Yeah.
Different venue.
Yeah, a replay, yeah. So, Stormers, let's talk about them for a bit. They've got a couple of problems, haven't they?
You know what? That game on the weekend, like I said to you, I predicted that the Stormers would win, and they were really disappointing for me. I went through a few of the stats. I didn't look at too many, but I just wanted to see where their potential downfall had come in. And it's once again those entries into the 22. They both had 11 entries into the 22, and Cardiff walked away with 2 points per visit, and the Stormers walked away with 0.6 points per visit. So Cardiff were much more efficient at finishing, and that's going to be a problem for the Stormers unless they sort that out. The other stat that was really interesting for me was the dominant tackle stat. So it was 9-1. And if you think about the effect of dominant tackles, all right, it denies your momentum and your go forward, and the Stormers getting the quick ball that they might have wanted to play. And of the dominant tackles, this Cardiff had 8 turnovers, and the Stormers only had 1 turnover. Yeah. So those stats in themselves tell a bit of a story.
Yeah. So the Stormers. They rely on Sasha having a real big game, and they're missing Corbus Reiner.
So I think that's been a massive problem for them, eh?
So hopefully they'll get that 9-10 combination back together, and home advantage will give them that edge. We know the Stormers forward pack's been better at home than away from home.
And I got a question about this, what you guys are talking about, from Jono. He says, I'm a Cape Town supporter and I'm worried. The Stormers have now drawn with Ulster and lost to Cardiff in back-to-back games. That's not form going into a knockout. Coaches, do you think there's a real problem here, or are they just resting their players?
No, they're not playing very well. They had a really, really good game against Glasgow, I think, at home before they toured. They played really well, but if a Stormers forward pack doesn't dominate, it doesn't look like they can win. And because their phase play isn't over-structured, so they don't have their forwards and backs don't combine well in phase play. So unless they're dominating through the maul or through the scrum and dominating territory and finishing off those opportunities inside their 22, they could lose. So they've got a lot of work to do, because and you look, they're going to rely on the Cape Town crowd giving them energy, and
the 60
they get
plan,
up early, and then Cardiff lose a little bit of belief. But still, you look at Cardiff. They conceded about 5-6 penalties from scrum against Stormers, but the Stormers line out wasn't as good.
That was my third point. Cardiff were 100% line out, Stormers 82%, and that's not good enough.
That's a little bit down for them, isn't it?
It is.
They're normally better than that. But for me, there's still, the pack needs to dominate for them to win, and not all teams are like that. I just think their Stormers' growth is for their phase play to be a lot better. They rely on X Factor to get them across the line quite often, and I think their phase play continuity through, the forwards and backs working together is good enough. But Cardiff's is pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's...
The other thing that's worrying me about the Stormers, I think going into round 10 of this tournament, they were the top defensive side, and their defence was like a wall. You couldn't breach them. And in the second half of this tournament, there's something's changed. I'm not sure what it is, but their defence hasn't been as good as it has been in the past. It's always been a real talking point about the Stormers is that defence, and their missed tackles and like I'm talking about dominant tackles now. That shows something's not quite clicking in their defensive system.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to get Corbus Bryner back in there to give some stability.
I don't think he's available. I think he's out.
Right. Okay. Well, that's not good. So we'll just move on to the Bulls and Munster game now. So what do you think around that game? So, well, first of all, do you think Stormers win, Bish?
I think Stormers will win.
So far, you've got Glasgow, Leinster.
All the home teams. I'm backing all the home teams this weekend. Next weekend, yeah.
Okay. And with a potential upset if Connacht get up.
Well, that's the one that I think if I was coaching Glasgow, I'd be nervous, just because of what they've shown us in the last few weeks. And they've been desperate to win to just qualify for the top 8, and those teams are dangerous. They've been playing finals for the last 3 weeks.
Tell us about the Bulls, Munster. What's your prediction there?
Well, I think the Bulls beat Munster 34-31 in their last round at Loftus in the first, when they played them in the pool stages. So there's nothing in this game. So for me, I think the Bulls, if Munster coming to Loftus, I think the key for them is pretty similar to what you've just spoken about. I think they need to get a really fast start. If you don't want to be behind the game early on at altitude at Loftus, chasing the game, And I think their set piece is going to, against the Bulls, if you don't sort of just get parity at least in set piece, you're going to be under the pump. And it could end up coming down to a kicking duel between Crowley and Pollard if it's close, So that's sort of, for me, where my mind's at. I'm not sure the preparation that the Bulls have had going into this playoff has been ideal either. They've played 2 Italian sides, which hasn't been the best.
And they've got a week off this week.
That's right. So you've had 2 easy games where we've backed them to get 5 points the last 2 weeks, and now rest.
Under pressure, have they?
They haven't, And Munster are a champion side, so they can
Munster have been under the pump, haven't they?
They have.
They had to play well. They had to beat the Lions to get to go. They're battle hardened.
They are,
and that's always a worry for a coach, isn't it? When you're going into a big playoff, you feel like you're a little bit underdone.
You've done all you can, but you haven't really been tested.
Yeah, that's right. And then all of a sudden, that selection becomes slightly more difficult because guys that played well against lesser teams might have played well, but it was against the lesser teams. So your selection can get a little bit clouded based on your opposition.
I think also that the Bulls have always traditionally been really difficult to beat at home, but 2 years ago I think Glasgow beat them in the final of the URC at home, so they've sort of might have lost that aura of a home playoff,
Well, I think again it goes back to, it's similar to the Stormers. If the Bulls dominate up front, their scrum is dominant and they get reward and territory gained through pressure, set piece pressure, then they can put Munster under a lot of pressure. But Munster are a tough team. They're a playoff team. We've known in the past. Remember that game last year when we had to beat Munster with a kick-off duel. That was a quarter-final, and that was a tough match, and we ended up going down to a kick-off duel at the end. So,
first time I've seen that.
Well, I think this could happen as well in this game. Something's going to happen. There'll be something. I don't think all those home teams is going to win. I think there's going to be a slip up somewhere. I think.
And where do you think that's going to be, John? Where's your? What's your
likely to be Munster.
Okay.
But and potentially Cardiff. Cardiff are going to believe they can beat them if they know they've got the recipe, haven't they? They've
just done it.
But it's just whether they can do it away from home. So
interesting times ahead.
Yeah.
So, boys, I think it's time for a song break. Who chose this next song? We've got Vienna Billy Joel.
That's me again.
That. Do you know the story behind this song?
Was his father not from Billy Joel? William Martin Joel had a German father.
Well, you are exactly right. He went to go visit his then was estranged dad.
That's
he
right.
was living in Vienna. And this song that came about, actually, they were walking and they saw an old lady. I mean, I don't know what he thought was old because he was in his 20s or 30s, I think. But he saw an older lady sweeping and he said to his dad, "Isn't it so sad that woman has to sweep?" And he said, "No, my boy. Actually, she's got a job, so she feels useful and part of society." And apparently, Billy Joel said that he realized at that moment that Europeans don't throw old people away like the Americans do. They allow them to still keep space, and you don't have to squeeze your whole life into your 20s and 30s, but you can still enjoy. So he said this song, Vienna, is essentially a letter from his father to him about slowing down.
You know why I like these songs, Kerry, is that there's the words of the songs tell stories. The older songs do this. The new music, I don't understand it, because
you're not alone
you
here.
don't really hear the words, and there's lots of swearing and stuff.
But are you telling
on.
me that this doesn't hit you in your heart, Coach? Bitch, better have my money.
My kids in the back. A couple of years ago, the kids are in the back of the car, and you're putting on. They want to put it on your Spotify and stuff, and they put on that rap stuff with all the bad language. I go, you can't.
The only rap song we had was Rapper's Delight. Remember that one?
Where is that?
What you hear is not a test. I'm rapping.
Oh.
Hey, I'm the genuine rapper. Put up a rapper song with John Plumtree.
Are you serious?
I've been. Oh, have you not heard of it? Oh.
No, okay, we've got to have
Famous
permission
for another
for
day.
To go. Billy Joel up next. Every Thursday from 12 to 1. Any song you hear is going to be one of the coach's choices. You guys are smashing it. We're loving the choices.
Billy did it.
Billy did it. Billy Joel with Vienna. It is 11 minutes to 1. We're going to go straight back into it now. We've got Champions Cup finals.
Yeah.
Correct.
Big game this weekend. I mean, if you love rugby, watch this game, because this game is going to be outstanding. I think it'd probably be around 6 or 7 o'clock Saturday night, won't it?
I think it might be early. I think it might be, 5-ish, I think.
Just have a look to see what time. Not 100% sure what time it is. So, but this is every trophy that every club wants to win in Europe. It's the big trophy. Bordeaux champions last year. Leinster out last couple of semi-finals. They've lost last.
So the last time they won it was in 2018. And they've had some really hurtful losses. I mean, in 2024, that extra time loss to Toulouse. So they've been a lot of hurt in this tournament of late, and they're desperate, to try and get this bogey off the back and win one of them.
2:45 p.m. by the way.
4:45 p.m.
2:45 SA time.
Early,
Bordeaux versus Leinster, Saturday 23rd, 2:45 SA time.
In Bilbao, Spain.
Yes.
Oh, that'll be hot.
Yeah,
be hot there. So, but this is going to be a great contest. I think there's some differences between the two teams, but there's also some similarities, isn't there?
Definitely similarities, and certainly up front, so you probably got the most system-driven team in the world versus the most unstructured, best counter-attacking team in the game, and that's what's going to make this contest fascinating. I think the kicking battles, I'm really looking forward to see how Leinster kick, whether they go contestable or long, because if they get the kicking game wrong with that counter-attack threats coming back at them, it's going to be interesting.
They'll kick short, but they'll also kick long, but it's the quality of those kicks. So if they kick long, they find some grass and they get a good chase line in. If they kick short and they get up in the air and they win those contestables, and let's face it, Beer Barry is awesome in the air. So who I'm not sure they'll play on the other.
So it looks like Pinot's going to shift out of 13 back to the wing for the game.
And they've got Riasi. They've got some seriously good firepower in that back three, so you have to be able to kick well, don't you?
That's right. And that for me, I think off 9, that Jamison Gibson Park is as good as you get, with his box kicking.
Yeah.
That contest is going to be a really interesting one.
Yeah. And who plays 10 for Leinster will be...
and that's a big talking point right now. They haven't announced their team, but in the semi-final, Harry Byrne started, and Pendergrass was on. Older head. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting to see who they pick for the weekend. Hopefully those sides will be announced in the next couple of hours. Yeah.
So there's matchups all over the park, and we'll talk about the 9-10 matchup a little bit more when we finish. But the set piece dominance is going to be interesting for me, because I think with whatever team can apply as much pressure and get reward from it up front will go a long way in winning this. Both forwards. Packs are solid, got plenty of internationals. Scrum-wise, line-up-wise, I mean, Cameron Walkie at the front of the line-up did a heap of damage in the semi-final against Bath defensively. So he's a real...
Do you remember Carlo Sardi? the South African boy, that
Yeah,
tight end
yeah,
prop.
he's
He
going
started
well.
in the semi-final,
Yep.
and there's question marks whether him or Ben Tameifuna are going to start. Now, both of those guys
Well,
are
Ben's great off the bench.
Yeah.
They love being off the bench. So I'd
but
be surprised.
massive bodies, you know. So there's massive people going to be playing against each other in that front rows on the
Yeah,
weekend.
there's some good matchups. And
Looks
that's
like
gonna make-
Furlong might be back from injury for Leinster, you know, so that could leave Porter, Sheehan and Furlong an all-Irish front row back for the
a
final.
lot of experience in that Irish front row, isn't there? And that, well, Leinster front row. But I mean, one thing that will be interesting as well is the breakdown. You know, so the team that can slow them. I mean, it's going to be vitally important that the Leinster back row have a good. Well, not just the back row. All of the Leinster players have got the ability to be able to be dominant as they can in the tackle and slow possession down as much as they can, because you just don't want to allow that Bordeaux side to have that lightning quick ball.
That's right. I think they're Conan, Van der Fleer, Doris for Leinster. I mean, they're once again all Irish loose forwards. So that battle is going to be phenomenal, Plum. I think that you're right.
Breakdown is unbelievable.
If we don't slow the ball down and Bordeaux get on the front foot, you know, the one thing about with Bordeaux, they don't need 3 or 4 or 5 phases to score. They can hurt you in one phase. You know, if you get it wrong, anywhere in the park. So that's the difference. Leinster sort of break you down with structure and systems and really organised defensive structure as well, which makes it tough for you. But when you've got those kind of attacking threats that are capable of opening you up anytime there's a mismatch or something like that, that's going to be the fascination of this game.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw something out here, but I reckon that Luca and Jalabia are probably the best 9-10 in the world right now, and they have been unbelievable for their club. You know, Luca is the steady hand, Jalabia is the flair. You know, they control Bordeaux's game beautifully, don't they?
They do.
Jalabia he's continually looking for space, whether it's just behind with his little grubber kicks or chip kicks. Then he goes across the field with his cross kicks. You know, he's just his ability to be able to, and he can run to space. So his ability to be able to find space is just unbelievable. And Luca is just a tough guy, isn't he? Like he keeps the forwards in the game. His passing's accurate. His tackles. He's so brave, that guy. And he just I'd love to know how many Ks he runs in a game. But he's an immense athlete.
Absolutely, yeah. No, he's a phenomenal rugby player.
And the last thing for me, mate, is a discipline. Like Leinster could, if they under pressure, they would tend to give away yellow cards.
They've been poor this year, haven't they?
Mate. The one in the URC, I think they're up there around 15, 16 yellow cards, and you know, average 1 or 2 per game. So it's going to be, they're going to have to keep their players on the field if they want to win this one.
And the bench, what do you think about the bench? That's going to be crucial, isn't it?
Yeah, both sides packed with quality, but I'm hoping Salesi Rasi plays really well for Bordeaux fullback. He was a Hurricane back in the day and a junior when I was coaching the Hurricanes. So shout out for him if he's listening to Play ZN right now.
I mean, we'll send this clip to him. I'm sure he'll love it. Gents, I've got a question from Marcus, and just know when I'm asking these questions, obviously I don't understand the back, so I'm just going to ask it as it comes in. It says, coaches, Leinster are playing the Champions Cup final Saturday and then a URC quarterfinal within a week against Lions. Same squad, same bodies. Has any team ever done the double in the same season? And do you think that Leinster can go all out on Saturday, or do they hold back and protect players for the following weekend?
No, they'll go for this one. This is the big one.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the one to win. If they can win this one this year and go out in the URC final, it'll still be a great year for them. If they lose this one, then they have to win the URC, and that's the type of pressure that comes under Leo Cullen.
Is it the same squad though, or is it
the same group? But they've got a squad of 30-odd players,
and that's really where the talking point in the URC and this whole thing that's going on at the moment is if you don't have a quality depth of squad, it's impossible to play on both fronts. So you either got to target the URC or the champions, but to try and do the double is almost impossible, certainly for the South African franchises.
No, I mean we can talk about that now. We've only got a few minutes left, but good question. But remember to watch this big game. Bashy and I will review it next week in a little bit more depth. Just a bit of talk.
Who do you think's going to win? You haven't put your name.
I'm going to put Leinster.
Yeah. Okay, well I agree with you for once.
Oh, you two
We're going
so
underdogs.
cute.
You told me yesterday Bordeaux were going to win.
Yeah, I know that, but when I saw how much Leinster were paying,
and because you said that, I said, well, then definitely Leinster.
okay, well, I'm going Bordeaux now.
I think it's going to be one or two key moments in this game is going to be the difference, and my money is on Leinster winning 27-24.
Okay,
so for putting your money where your mouth is.
I want to see the money, and whoever wins, then the money comes to Plays It In. Excellent.
Lovely.
I love this for us.
So we just got another shout out as well for the women rugby players in the country that followed Six Nations, and everyone follows them actually. The Red Roses, our mate Mitch.
Plum's brother-in-law, John Mitchell, and my good friend.
How amazing was all the social media around them? They were just upping Coach Mitch so much, and then how the girls were running to him. They said, "You will just never see a bond like this." And the girls were like, "He's like our dad."
Phenomenal, though. Mitch has done an unbelievable job with the Red Roses.
So shout out to him. So I'm going to see him about 3 or 4 weeks' time, coming to Bry and drink beers with him.
But if he gloats, remember it's a Jager bomb, eh?
Yeah, no, he's not allowed to gloat. He knows that. So we're nearly finished, but I just wanted to talk about Eddie Jones' band, Bashford. So Eddie Jones being banned, he's an aggressive little bugger.
Oh, Eddie's Eddie. We know Eddie fairly well, don't we? So could you believe it? He's in Australia on an under-23 trip. He's not even a coach. He's just on the sidelines.
Just couldn't handle it.
And he couldn't help it himself, that he had
now,
to get
should
into
the coaches be able to call out the officials? I mean, what do you take? What's your take on it? I mean...
Plummy, we know we want to. I think all of us coaches pull our hair out all the time with the refs, but certainly it's not the way to do it. There are channels, but unfortunately, refs are protected. Whichever way we look at it,
overprotected, man.
Overprotected.
Yeah. And we because the problem is where the coaches don't see any consequence, or we really hear that. Okay, well, he's been sit out for the next 3 weeks now because of a poor performance. I mean, they've just got to be a bit more transparent. The referee bosses, and with that, these referees are just going to get better and grow. It kills me when you ask a question to a ref, or you email them, or you text them, or whatever, and they don't reply, or whatever. So they've got to stop being protected species and get themselves out there. I can remember all of the older referees in this country not being like that, and they were the best.
We were lucky. We went to that area with Kaplan.
And they weren't scared to take you on either. Eh? No. Like if they thought you were wrong, they'll call you out. And that's fine. But, geez, stop being so protected. And
well, it looks to me like with the way it's handled is they'd rather, if the refs had a really bad game, where they go is let's coach him rather than punish him. So they'll try and upskill him before the weekend and get his areas that he hasn't done well. But the real story comes out later when you start to see the appointments in the big games. When you see a guy that's been traditionally up there suddenly reffing really down low in the lesser games, then he's been caught out.
Yeah, but they should put it out that this referee is sitting out top games for 2 or 3 weeks and doing some work. But it's just the right thing to do.
They will never throw a ref
coaches.
Under the bus,
coaches get chucked under the bus, buddy.
They do, and that's the problem.
So why are they protected? So the other bit for me is the SA team's pulling out of the Champions Cup next year. It's the word. It's going to be a massive call if that happens. But the player load, the crazy calendar that these players have got is just nuts for our Springbok players in South Africa. They're playing in South Africa. So when they finish Rugby Championship and go into the Northern Tour and then come back to their clubs and expected to play in Champions Cup, and often these rounds are in France or England, so another trip. They've already been away from their families for weeks and weeks on end. And I got criticised for it last year, the year before, when I came out and said that the players in this country are treated like robots. And I believe that. I honestly believe.
I think you're taking a lesser team to overseas to compete.
We got beaten. We didn't take Sia, I didn't take Mapimpy, I didn't take quite a few of the boys, and they came out and criticised me afterwards. And these guys had just been away from home for 5 weeks.
So if we make that real, if you think about it, this last weekend the Sharks played their last game, and we're heading into June. All right. So for most of the Sharks players, they're now going to go on a nice little break. But we've just bumped into Jesse Creel up there, and they're now going into camp to prepare for what's coming in the Springbok tours. And then as soon as that finishes, All right, then it's the August test windows, where you get that to go. And just for good measure, while the August series is on, the URC is kicking off again,
Yeah, so that they've got the only way they can fix it is to have a global calendar where all test matches are played together. So that will mean that for Springboks aren't going into the Six Nations, and they need to have the Rugby Championship after Christmas. And then we can play club rugby in June, July. The test matches are played. Northern Tour is played in November. Then after that, Rugby Championship or Six Nations like it is currently. But it's not sustainable. It's not attractive for South African Springboks to play in the URC, and it certainly doesn't make sense for clubs to have these players when they're permanently knackered.
Exactly. Yeah.
James, I'm going to stop you here. We could go on for ages, but we will next week.
Okay.
From 12 until 1 every single Thursday. It is the Man's Observations TMO with John Plumtree and Grant Bashford. Well done today, guys.